The most common way to read the Book of Revelation is to treat it as a crystal ball, a coded map of the distant future, or a countdown to the end of the world. This approach encourages readers to look at ancient symbols and search for 21st century technology, like identifying trackable microchips within the text. It also leads to mapping John's prophecies onto modern geopolitics, assuming his descriptions of ancient warfare are actually talking about contemporary tanks and missiles. This reading projects modern anxieties onto a first-century text. It bypasses the literary conventions of the time and ignores the specific people John meant to address. John wrote to early Christians in Asia Minor around AD 95. These were communities living under the constant threat of Roman imprisonment, violence, and exile. Apocalyptic literature uses vivid, jarring symbols to expose spiritual reality. In this genre, a multi-headed beast functions as a representation of Rome's totalizing power rather than a literal monster. To see the reassurance John offered these people, we have to look past the symbols and find the architectural blueprint he used to structure the book. The book begins by addressing 7 literal, historical churches in Asia Minor that were struggling with these earthly crises. The perspective then shifts dramatically upward to a heavenly throne room. Before describing any disaster on earth, the text establishes its core premise: God remains in control of history. While we expect a timeline to move straight forward, Revelation unfolds through a structure called progressive parallelism. The narrative loops. It retells the story of cosmic conflict multiple times, spiraling closer to the end with each rotation. The first spiral consists of the 7 seals. These represent the everyday labor pains of the first century: conquest, war, famine, and death. The second cycle, the 7 trumpets, uses imagery from the Exodus plagues to show God's judgment and call the world to repentance. The third spiral presents the 7 bowls, showing the complete outpouring of wrath on the world's corrupt systems. These 3 cycles aren't sequential events. They are 3 different camera angles on the same span of history, all culminating at this same sharp peak on the far right. Between the 6th and 7th elements of each cycle, the author hits pause to insert an interlude. These interludes address the audience's fear. They answer the question of whether God is protecting his people while their world falls apart. Events like the sealing of the 144,000 show the reader that God has actively marked his people for salvation, regardless of earthly turmoil. All 3 spirals eventually reach the same conclusion: the return of Christ and the final defeat of evil and its earthly empires. The book concludes with the New Jerusalem, a restored earth where God physically dwells with humanity. For people facing execution, this ending promised a reality where suffering stops and every tear is wiped away. Modern literalist readings often focus on fear, but John's structure is designed to provide reassurance. His point is that no matter how powerful earthly empires become, the outcome of the struggle has already been decided. Revelation's blueprint teaches that evil will lose and God will win. For the audience, the only remaining task is to